The death of the old self. Let's talk about what it actually means to let the old self die. Because this language, death, shedding, releasing, it sounds dramatic, and people either romanticize it or dismiss it. But it's neither romantic nor dismissible. It's real and it's necessary. The old self doesn't die in one moment. It dies in 1,000 small moments. Every time you choose differently, every time you interrupt a pattern, every time you make a decision that the old self wouldn't make. And each of those moments feels like a little death, because you're letting go of something familiar. Even when that familiar thing was painful, it was still yours. It was still known. And there's grief in that. Grief for the version of yourself that tried so hard to be likable, that bent over backwards to make everyone comfortable, that shrunk to fit into spaces that were too small. That version of you did the best it could. It survived. It protected you when you needed protecting. But it can't take you where you need to go. So you have to let it go. Not with judgment, not with resentment, but with gratitude and release. This is the emotional work that no one prepares you for, because everyone talks about becoming someone new like it's exciting, like it's pure expansion, but they don't talk about the loss, the grief, the discomfort of not knowing who you are anymore. Because when you let go of the old self, there's a period where you're not fully anything. You're not the old self anymore, but you're not quite the new self yet. You catch yourself operating from old patterns and have to consciously redirect. You make decisions that feel foreign. You show up in ways that don't feel natural yet. And it's exhausting. This is why most people don't make it through. Because the death of the old self is not a one-time event. It's a process. And the process is uncomfortable. But discomfort is not the same as wrong. Discomfort is just unfamiliarity. And the only way to make the new self familiar is to keep choosing it, even when it feels weird, even when it feels like you're pretending. Because you're not pretending, you're practicing. And eventually, the new self stops feeling like practice. It starts feeling like home. But you have to stay in the process long enough to get there. Here's what helps. Rituals. Not in a woo-woo way, but in an intentional way. You create moments where you consciously acknowledge what you're releasing and what you're stepping into. Maybe you write a letter to your old self. Thank it for what it did for you. Acknowledge the ways it protected you, and then release it. Maybe you create a list of old beliefs and burn it, not because burning paper has magic powers, but because the physical act creates a psychological marker. Maybe you change something in your environment, your workspace, your routines, your wardrobe, something that signals to your brain that things are different now. These rituals matter because they make the internal shift external. They give your brain something concrete to anchor to, and they create closure, which is what grief needs. Because you're not just becoming someone new, you're saying goodbye to someone old, and that deserves to be acknowledged. So take the time, feel the grief, honor what was, and then let it go. Not because it was bad, but because you've outgrown it. And what's on the other side of that grief is freedom.